Let's take a look at the next kind of imbalance, and that is structural imbalance. In this picture, we have the brain on the top right, and then on the right side of the picture, we have the spinal column coming down. And you'll notice that in between every two vertebrae, we have these gray lines going out to the various organs of the body. Those lines, of course, are the nerves. The brain communicates with all the organs. The brain sends messages to the organs send messages back to the brain, and so you've got this two-way communication going on. Well, those nerves carry information and instructions from the brain to the body and back again. But sometimes what happens is misalignments can occur. When you have a vertebrae that becomes misaligned, then you'll get irritation that will occur in the nerve, and so you get reduced communications between the brain and the organ at the end of the line. So, if you've got poor communication going on in the nerve, you're going to have less than 100% of the information flow between the brain and the organ, and so that, as a result, the organ cannot function at 100%. Now, these misalignments are very, very common and are also really epidemic in society, although they're unrecognized medically. But this is what chiropractic is all about. These can be caused by birth traumas, childhood falls and traumas, sports injuries, whiplash, too much sitting, poor diet, occupational hazards, lack of exercise, and emotional stress. Okay? So let's say, for example, if you look at the heart here, which is at the top of the picture, just towards the left, you'll see there's a red line connecting that heart with the spinal cord, which means there's a misalignment in that area. Now, what would you expect might happen? Well, typically what I've seen clinically is that people will start to get palpitations. The heart doesn't communicate as well with the brain, and so it's not able to function quite as well as it should. So it starts to skip beats and things like that. And eventually, I believe that disease may be the result. If you look a little lower down, we have a red line that's connecting the spinal cord with the stomach. And so, of course, the stomach, what does it do? It digests food. If it starts to malfunction, you start to get indigestion, right? You're not digesting food as well. So you tend to get gas and bloating and other problems. If we look even further down, you can see that we've got a red line, which is an interfered nerve that is connecting with the uterus and the ovaries. And so what do those organs do? Well, they produce hormones, so you might start having hormonal imbalances. Also, of course, you might not be able to reproduce as efficiently because the brain and those organs are not connecting. They're not communicating like they should. So this is again, the structural piece of the puzzle here. You see, in 20 years of practice and working with some of the sickest people in the country, I came to find that it was really like putting together a puzzle, okay? The puzzle has 6 pieces, which anytime I would see a new patient who was very sick, and believe me, sometimes I saw patients who were so sick they were literally praying to die because they were miserable and they didn't really want to live anymore. Their life had no value. They were just surviving from one day, sometimes really one moment to the next. They were in so much pain and so much misery. And what I found is that getting those people well was like putting together a puzzle. There are 6 pieces to the puzzle. This is one of those pieces, you see. You may be doing everything right. You may be taking all the right nutrition. You may have positive mental attitude. But if your brain is not communicating well with those organs and glands of the body, and if there's interference going on there, well, you're handicapped. You need to get that addressed. Let's move on to the next piece of the puzzle here, and that's nutritional deficiencies, okay? Most people have deficiencies. Of course, our foods are grown in soils that have been depleted for many years. Luckily, nutritional deficiencies can be corrected with supplementation, and that's a fairly easy thing to do. Another kind of deficiency is what we call magnetic field deficiency. This is actually very common. It was a Japanese discovery. And here you can see in the picture we've got a person with this magnetic field around them. And the Japanese found that your magnetic field can become deficient just like you can become deficient in vitamin A or C or anything else. And so they coined this phrase, MFDS, which stands for Magnetic Field Deficiency Syndrome. And in fact, in the Japanese kanji script, the character that they use to represent MFDS is the same character that they use to represent chronic fatigue syndrome, I have been told. The next kind of imbalance is toxins or poisons. And of course, this is a new phenomenon. They say that just putting gas into your car, you get more of a toxic exposure than your great grandparents got in their entire lifetime. We're talking about heavy metals, radiation, industrial waste, and so on. The average person in the United States takes in about 14 pounds of chemicals per year in the food that they eat. And that's of course, we're talking about food colorings, humectants, preservatives, and so on. And so these toxins can be cleared from the body. And in fact, it's a fascinating thing, but oftentimes, people try to lose weight, and when they go on a diet, they may lose some weight, but then as soon as they go off the diet, the weight comes back on. And I believe that that's usually because the reason why they're overweight is because their body is storing toxins that they can't really break down or process in their adipose tissue. And so what happens is, if you think about it, we're taking in over a pound of chemicals, per month. Your body can't break all those down, and so it stores the excess in the fat tissue. And so the more toxins you're storing, the fatter you are generally. And so the best way to really lose weight, I'm finding, is to actually detoxify the body. So feel free to contact me if you'd like more information on that. Let's take a look at the next kind of imbalance, and that is what we call energy field imbalances. And basically, here's how this works. When you come here, when you're born, you have this energetic body inside of you that anciently they called the prana or the chi and so on. I believe that this is a template for your physical body, that your physical body actually kind of fills into this template. And if you remember the picture of the leaf where they cut off the top half of the leaf and you could see the outline, the perfect outline of the upper part of the leaf, your body is like that as well. Now, this part of you, this inside, hidden, invisible part of you, can become imbalanced as well. And if it does, you've got to correct it. One of the things that we have found is that there are points on the surface of the body that allow us to test the balance of the organs and the glands. And we call these BODYCODE test points. By touching a point and performing a simple muscle test, we can determine whether an organ is in a state of balance or not. And the amazing thing about this is that there are connections between all these organs and all the muscles in the body. For example, if you have right knee pain, it's a very good bet that you have an imbalance in your gallbladder. Okay, doesn't mean you have disease in the gallbladder, but the gallbladder connects up energetically with certain muscles in the right knee, for example. If you've got back pain, it's very likely that you've got an imbalance in the kidneys. And so that's how this works. There are connections between the organs. And to help you understand this, if you imagine that you go into your bathroom and you plug in every blow dryer that you have, and an arc welder too. What's going to happen? Well, you're going to blow the fuse in your bathroom, right? Now, when you do that, in the next room, your stereo, which is playing your favorite song, may suddenly shut off, right? How could that happen? Well, if it's on the same circuit as your bathroom, that will happen, right? The stereo will shut off. Well, in your body, you're wired in this similar way. Every organ connects up with certain muscles. And so by understanding what the connections are there, we can make changes occur in seemingly unrelated areas of the body. And so then that brings us to the last kind of imbalance, which are trapped emotions. Now, I recently wrote a book called The Emotion Code that is all about trapped emotions and how to find these and how to fix these. And this book was written literally for anybody. Trapped emotions can occur at any age, or they can even be inherited, and they will cause inflammation and congestion and even worse. Just real quickly, let me share a couple of stories with you. Pain. Trapped emotions cause at least half of the pain that people are in right now in our world. I have seen hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands actually, of cases where people were in acute physical pain, and by releasing the emotion that was creating the pain instantly goes away. One story that comes to mind was a woman who had pain in her ovary. It had been going on for 3 days, and we asked her body through testing, what the creation or what the cause of this was, and it was a trapped emotion of frustration, and it had to do with her mother. And all of a sudden she said, "Oh, my mother." She said she called me 3 days ago and she dumped all this stuff on me. She said, "I wish she'd just get out of my life and leave me alone." Well, her mother had called 3 days earlier, and she had felt this intense emotion of frustration, and that had become lodged in the body and was affecting and actually creating pain in the ovary.